You may know that I am a co-host of the Innsmouth Book Club podcast, and last year on the show we had Josh Fox and Bethy Anderson of Black Armada Games in for a chat. So we spoke about various gaming things, and they also told us about a new project they were developing, which was a Lovecraftian investigation game. This piqued my interest, so much so in fact that I went to the Kickstarter and backed the game. Lo and behold, a large package turned up for me the other day. So, today on Dragon's Teeth, we are going to be unboxing Lovecraftesque. Hi folks, I'm Rob Poyton. Thanks for joining me today on Dragon's Teeth. So yes, another Lovecraftian investigation game. You may remember we picked up and played Arkham Investigations just recently, or at least played the first scenario in that. We're hopefully going to be doing the next one this weekend, so I shall report on that once it's done. You may remember in the review of that game we did enjoy it, but we did have some reservations. So it will be interesting to see how the second scenario works out. Now, Lovecraftesque, on the face of it, is a similar game in that it is based around investigating a Lovecraftian mystery, which, let's face it, usually ends in tears. But the way Josh and Becky described it, it does sound like quite a different approach. So as I say, I backed the Kickstarter, and literally a couple of days ago I had a very large package arrived. Let's take a look. And here we have it, Lovecraftesque, a storytelling game of eldritch horror mysteries by Joshua Fox and Becky Anderson. And as you can see, this is quite a substantial box, as I mentioned. So let's get this wrapper off and we'll have a look inside. The blurb on the back tells us, Lovecraftesque tells the story of a lone individual stumbling upon clues to a terrible evil. At first they dismiss it, but piece by piece a picture emerges until suddenly it becomes impossible to deny. 1 to 5 players, and age 14 plus, and the playing time is 3 hours. So quite a long game. That's good. Let's open it up. So the first thing we see is this Lovecraftesque extras. I don't want to read too much into any of these things, obviously, before we start. But I think one thing is apparent straight away. Very nice production values. There's some good artwork in here. All very nicely produced. And the box looks full of stuff as well. Next thing are the rules. A storytelling card game of creeping eldritch horror. Again, very nicely presented. Table of contents there. Looks like there's an introduction to Lovecraftian fiction, overview of the rules, list of game components, how to set the board up, and then how to get into the actual play and the story. Again, lots of nice quality artwork throughout. That doesn't bode well, does it, for our investigators? But then, this is Lovecraft. Following on from that, these look like the character sheets. Doesn't look like you've got a lot of stats or anything. We've got name, description, reason for being here, personality trait, and source of strength, which, yeah, I think that's going to be quite important. Supporting characters, band list, not sure what that means. Conclusions, right, so I'm presuming that these are for the players to take notes or to write down their conclusions to the investigation on. Setting, locations, and again, this is all very nice quality stuff, nice thick paper. Clues, and then it looks like we're getting into the board, So I'll just open this out. So not a huge board, but I guess this is primarily a card game. Clues and mystery deck, obviously spaces for certain cards here. Act 1, signs and portents. Act 2, impending doom. Act 3, final horror, epilogue and conclusion. So that looks to be the course of the game or the investigation. Like any good Lovecraft story, it starts with something, a disturbing sign or something unusual perhaps, and then leads us all the way through until the final horror is revealed. Journey into darkness here, and characters and character deck here, rule deck here, and locations and location deck here. So that is looks like it's going to be a very quick board setup. As I say, it is a card game, so not lots of counters or little figures or anything else to set up. So let's take a look at the cards. And we have this sturdy plastic cover here, which looks like it will protect everything. Core decks, scenarios, Citadels of Shadow, it's optional expansion. Echoes of the Past, also optional, and Waves of Darkness, optional expansion. So I'm guessing these are perhaps extra rules that you can add into the game. So let's remove this. And there we've got our tray for our various cards. We've got some counters there, 2 counters for the look of it. Maybe that's what you use to track across the plot line we looked at earlier. Oh, some nice pencils. That's always welcome. We've got 2 large packs of cards here, mystery and story. There's a smaller pack here with mystery on as well. I say I haven't got a clue at the moment what any of this means, but let's open this up and take a look. So these are the story cards. We also have some rule cards there, roll cards, and more mystery cards. And then just at the back here we have location cards. Now once again, and characters as well. So let's just take a character card at random. Let's take this one. Again, all very nicely produced. They have got that lovely new game smell as well. So character, powerful person, could include politician, wealthy person, famous person, or an agent such as judge, police or official. So I'm guessing these are characters you would be playing or attributes you can assign to your character perhaps. Let's just take a look at some of the others here. Ancient place, could include rickety house or mansion, crumbling ruin, enormous tree, forbidding castle. So I'm guessing these are obviously the locations that you travel to as part of your investigation. Mystery. Let's look at what we've got. Mystery. Visions could include dreams or hallucinations, ritual experiences, sudden vivid recollections. So I'm starting to get a sense, just even reading through these, of how this game might develop. And it looks like you are getting a choice of character type, various things that might be happening to them and where they can go. Or it could be it's totally random, you just pick a card. And the roll cards. Whisperer, support the narrator, add atmospheric detail to the narrator's words, call out if you think the main character is exposed to risk. When the narrator asks you a question, make up an answer. When the narrator asks you to play a supporting character, portray them as if they were real. Avoid describing anything so weird that it should be a clue. Interesting. And here we have the story cards, setup, introduction, so this tells you the nuts and bolts of the games, I guess. Setup continued. And here's the second deck. So we've got mystery cards, character, so it looks like more of the same thing. So, you know, this looks to be giving you a fairly wide choice of characters and mysteries and locations. Location, a place in the country. Rowan Hall, a rundown country house and grounds in the final stages of being sold to a legal consortium who plan to turn it into a luxury hotel. So some specific locations there. Oh, the animal graveyard, that's always a good one, right? Strange architecture. And then finally that small pack. These look to be blank cards, so presumably these are to write your own things on, perhaps. I'm wondering if you can develop your own scenarios through this. We shall find out when we go through the rules. Now there is one other quite unusual item in here, which looks to be a small torch of some description. But this is not just an ordinary torch, because we have a sticker on the front of the box that says hidden art inside, shine the flashlight to discover more. So that's an intriguing little thing, isn't it? Presumably that's like a UV light or something, and somewhere within the box or within the rules or somewhere there is some hidden artwork and perhaps some hidden clues too. What a lovely little touch that is. I like that. Now unfortunately I don't have time today to set this up and have a playthrough, but I will be doing that. I'll report on that. We'll either do that at home here, myself and Lara, or I'll take it down to Bedford Gladiators, maybe on the next all-day Sunday. As this is a 3-hour game, then we'll have plenty of time to finish. But I'll just have a quick flick through the rules here, see if I can pick up some sense of the game. So, a storytelling hard game of creeping cosmic horror, emulating the tone of pace of eldritch horror stories. During the game, you take turns to introduce clues inspired by clue cards that you draw from the mystery deck. In this way, you'll build up a creepy eldritch mystery one clue at a time. At the start of the game, you're only allowed to introduce subtle clues, so the horror increases gradually. That's nice, I like that, and again, that's very much in keeping with Lovecraftian and weird fiction in general. As the game progresses, you'll unlock scarier and more bizarre clues. The truth behind the mystery is only revealed at the end, but you'll each individually invent a theory explaining the clues as you play. Now, this is the interesting aspect, and Josh and Becky were talking about this when they came on the podcast. You take turns playing different roles. So this isn't like you have a GM and I'm Bob the investigator and someone else is Susan the occultist or whatever. It seems that you switch roles. So one person will be the narrator, whose job is to describe the world around the main character and to reveal a clue. Another will be the witness. The rest are whisperers who support the narrator by dripping in atmospheric description, answering the narrator's questions and playing supporting characters. Each turn you'll swap roles. So the narrator, the main character, witnesses and these whisperers, and you get to switch around. So everyone gets to play a different role or a different aspect in the game. There's some tips on facilitating the game, how to make sure that everyone involved has a good experience, even though we're playing a horror game, how to set up the board and cards, and there we go. There's an example of how the setup goes, and then we're into how to actually start playing the game. I think one of the things for me with this is, you may have seen recently we played the Arkham Investigations game, or at least the first investigation, which cost about the same as this. The Arkham game is more of what you might call a traditional, very Holmesian game, where you go around the board and pick up clues. This seems somewhat different in that you are creating the story as you go along, and everyone is involved in creating the story. So it would be very interesting to see how this stacks up alongside that more, what you might call traditional investigative approach. We have the structure of the game and also here the length of the game. So a standard game of Lovecraftesque takes about 2 to 4 hours, 30 minutes to set up and create the characters, 10 to 15 minutes for each investigation chapter, 10 to 15 minutes for the journey into darkness, the same for the final horror, 5 to 10 minutes for the epilogue, 5 to 10 minutes to share your conclusions. And it looks like there's lots of examples throughout as well. So on first glance, these rules all appear to be Very clear and nicely explained. Some more nice artwork. Could that be the Dread Necronomicon? Of course it is. And then it explains how each stage of the game is resolved and played out. The final horror is a single scene in which the narrator reveals the full truth about the horror. So there we go. That's a very quick glimpse through. Obviously we'll get this set up and start playing it as soon as we can, and I shall report back on that in due course. There we go, that's our first quick peek at Lovecraftesque then. I'm looking forward to playing this one. It does look very interesting, and I do like the sharing the roles thing. So there's no game master as such, but everyone is involved in creating the narrative. As you may know if you're a regular viewer, I do like my narrative games, whether that's investigation type game, whether it's Starfleet battles, or we're playing 10mm fantasy wargaming. I always think that narrative aspect adds a little depth to a game. Yeah, we'll be getting this one up and running as quick as possible, and of course I'll do a report on that. If we enjoy the Arkham Investigations second scenario as well, I'll also do an update on that, another review on that, so keep an eye out for both of those. Thanks very much for watching. As always, please do send your comments, questions and suggestions in. Perhaps you've got Lovecraftesque yourself. Be very interested to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't already, do us a favour, like, share and subscribe to the channel. That's it. I'll see you next time, Cthulhu willing.